Hello, and thank you for joining me today as we begin the process of naming bones of the body. So we're going to start from the top and work our way down. Today we're going to get the cranial bones and your facial bones, and then we'll progress from there. So at the end of today's lesson, you'll understand which parts of the body constitute the exoskeleton and which parts make up the appendicular. Along with you will be able to label the bones of the face, and you'll be able to identify landmark features on bones of the skull and face as well. So your exoskeleton is composed of 80 bones. You have 22 in the skull, 6 in the ear. You have 1 hyoid bone. You have 26 vertebrae. And you have 25 in your thoracic cage. You have 12 sets of ribs. And you have 1 sternum. So 12 on the left, 12 on the right. And 1 sternum to be your 25 there. So there's 80 total in your exoskeleton. Your appendicular has 126. You have a pectoral girdle. It's got 4 bones, 2 on either side. You have upper and lower limbs, 60 bones each. And then you have a pelvic girdle, which is composed of your sacrum and your coccyx. For starters, we're going to name the bones of your skull and face. You have 8 cranial bones. You have a frontal bone, which is your forehead. You have 2 parietal bones on either side, protecting the top of your brain, top of your skull. Temporal bone located near your ear. That's where you find your temple. Your occipital bone is the back of your skull. Your sphenoid bone is parts of the base and sides of the eye socket. And then your ethmoid bone is found in your nasal cavity. It's between your eye socket and your nasal cavity. It's kind of hard to see sometimes, but we'll look at it here. So on this picture, you have a frontal bone is this big orange one. You have parietal bones, which are here. You have temporal bones, which is this guy. Occipital bone is in the back. Your sphenoid bone is this purplish color here. It's going to be 5. And then your ethmoid bone is this light purple color here. And so a lot of these you can see from the underside. The ethmoid bone you can't. It's on the inside there. But purple is your sphenoid, I believe. Purple is your sphenoid. You have your temporal bones on either side. Your occipital is in the back. And we will look at this more as we go along. Because you have different bones that come together, we have sutures there as well. And so where your frontal bone meets your parietal bones, we have what's known as your frontal suture, or we call it the coronal suture. So it's the coronal suture, I apologize. We had a frontal plane or the coronal plane. This is the coronal suture, which connects your frontal bone and your parietal bones. In between your 2 parietal bones, we have what's known as the sagittal suture. So you have a sagittal plane, sagittal suture. In the back, where your parietal bones meet your occipital bone, we have what's called a lambdoidal suture. I'll kind of explain that. It's in the shape of a lambda. We'll look at that when we see a picture. So this is your coronal suture separating your frontal and your parietal bones. Separating your 2 parietal bones, this is your sagittal suture. And then in the back, you have your lambdoidal suture. So from the top, as you see it now, this looks very similar to this shape, which is called lambda. This is called lambda, and this looks like lambda, essentially. So we gave it the name lambdoidal suture. Not we. They gave it the name lambdoidal suture. I just teach it. Those are bones of the skull. Bones of your face. There are 14 of them. You have 2 maxillary bones, 1 on either side. You have 2 palatine bones, 1 on either side. You have 2 zygomatic bones, 1 on either side. 2 lacrimals and 2 nasals. You have 1 vomer, which splits your nasal septum, which is your nasal septum. You have an inferior nasal concha, 1 on either side, and you have a mandible, which is your lower jaw. So we're going to look at these here in a picture. But your maxillary is your upper jaw. Your palatine is the roof of your mouth, is your palatine bone, specifically in the back. Your zygomatic is your cheekbones. So if you feel your cheekbones, that's your zygomatic bones. Lacrimal is part of your eye socket. Hard to see. Nasal kind of goes with your nose. Vomer is the inferior, the bottom portion of your nasal septum. So the part that splits your nose into 2 halves. The bottom of that's called your vomer. And then your inferior nasal concha is found inside of that, and your mandible is your jaw. So picture-wise, it looks like this. You have a frontal bone, which we've already talked about. Your maxillary is this purple structure here. Above that, you have your blues, your nasal. Dark blue is nasal, light blue is zygomatic. Down below, you have your mandible. We have your lacrimal bone. Is in here, it's green in this picture. That ethmoid bone we talked about previously is orange. Your inferior nasal concha is this little piece inside here, which helps funnel air on either side. And then your vomer is in the middle, right there. Those are the bones of your face and your skull. So here are some review questions for you. Make sure you pause the video, answer these, and then if you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will do a bunch of practice in class and review together to help you straighten these out. So which bones are considered cranial bones? Which are facial bones? Where is your frontal bone located? What about your occipital bone? Which bone houses your auditory meatus? Which bone can be found just inferior to your eye? What bone makes a butterfly shape if viewed from the top? Oh, we didn't talk about that in this video. That's your sphenoid bone. And which bone that makes up the roof of your mouth? So those are the questions I would like you to answer, and then I will see you when you return to class, or I will see you again next time on here. But thank you for your time and attention, and enjoy the rest of your day.